And I would say there's a few main points that people disagreed with. The first was my claim that cryptocurrencies are subject to price manipulation, and I used the 2017 run-up as an example that pushed up the price right before it dropped 80%. Now, the counter-argument that many people used is that, sure, cryptocurrencies can be manipulated, but so could any other currency, and that's confirmed. The most recent example would come from JP Morgan, who has fined almost $1 billion for manipulating the price of precious metals. So even though—
There you go. I mean, there's manipulation everywhere, guys, not just in cryptocurrency. So I don't know if he's going to agree with this point, but I will say that it's pretty obvious. The whales are not just in crypto, guys. They're in every major financial, market. They manipulate everything. So yeah.
Oh yes, anything could be subject to market manipulation. Institutional banks are much more likely to be scrutinized and regulated by the SEC, which is most likely to pursue those charges, not so much with Bitcoin.
Now that's very true. That is very, very true. But I would also go as far as to saying that the SEC has bailed them out in multiple situations. Like, for example, nobody really got held accountable in the 2008 financial crash and the issues that went on there, even though there was clear, problems amongst the housing market and what they've been doing, to basically scam people. So, I will say that they will hold people accountable, but it's a very light slap on the wrist. And typically they're just taking money away from them, which a lot of these banks have ridiculous power over the money anyways, and they're essentially going to make it, there's typically not jail time involved. There is going to be specific situations where they'll put somebody out there, like just to put a face on it, right? Because, for whatever reason, they want to have somebody held accountable. But there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and I'm sure you can agree with me on this, that get through all the cracks. And I will go as far as to say this as well. When it comes to manipulation, the reason why, regulation is so big in like something like, traditional markets is because there's a lot more money. So I would even go as far as saying the light slap on the wrist that these people are getting in comparison to the size of the market and compared to crypto, comparing all that to crypto, the manipulation is probably going to be much more in traditional finance. That's just a fact. They don't really get in trouble, and they'll blame somebody else in a lot of cases. So I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I can't really verify anything I said, but I have read enough books and I have researched enough to know that what I'm saying is pretty much correct. There's no real discipline happening except for, fines, which is like kind of defeats. Okay, so you manipulate people to make money and then you just pay that money back. I don't know if that's really a good way to seriously discipline people. So I would say it even in real markets is a free-for-all. It's a free-for-all in every market. Even if there's rules and regulations, people break them all the time and get away with it. So yeah, they're both manipulated. End of story. That's my personal perspective.
Cryptocurrency is still a relatively new, difficult to regulate industry. And I think for a lot of people, they like that the SEC is not as actively involved as, let's say, mainstream banks. So while anything can be manipulated, Bitcoin is much less scrutinized than other companies or assets, at least right now. Next, we got to talk about something that nearly every—
Okay, I think you just agree with me. I think I kind of missed that. Let me rewind what he said because I was too busy talking. Hold on a second.
So while anything can be manipulated, Bitcoin is much less scrutinized than other companies.
It's true. I'm not going to sit here and say that what he's saying is not true. Like, they are much less scrutinized, but it doesn't mean they don't get sued. And other cryptocurrency companies get sued. Like, for example, recently XRP is getting sued. EOS got sued. There's a lot of places that do. So I would go argue to say, okay, this is just an argument, that the regulation or the amount of discipline cryptocurrency, the actual cryptocurrency market receives, is outweighed by the fact that, traditional finance is much bigger. And if you were to get like a ratio, I would go as far to say that the ratio would be a much bigger difference in traditional finance versus Bitcoin. Maybe that went over some people's head, but essentially what I'm saying is, yes, there's regulation in traditional markets, but there's also a lot more money in traditional markets being manipulated. That's what I'm trying to say. If you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Catch you in the next one.